everyone, and welcome to tonight's Cabinet meeting. Any apologies for absence, Sonia?
The Mayor, Karen Clark, Councillor Janet Hunt and Councillor McMullen.
Also received apologies from Councillor Hannah Johnson. Item 2, any declarations of interests? No. Item 3, minutes of the last meeting. Can we agree those are the true record, please? Agreed. Item 4, reported by Young Mayor. Over to our Young Mayor.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. I hope everyone has been enjoying the sunshine these last few weeks and had some lovely summer plans. I've now finished my first year in sixth form and I've had a busy summer ahead, including a work experience here at the council next week. Since my last update, myself and Maggie have met with our elected mayor, Karen Clark, to discuss our pledges and what our aims in the office are. We discussed the work completed in schools and youth groups across the nation, the National Youth Strategy, highlighting that 2 of the main worries were discrimination and the lack of youth spaces. Maggie and I are working on this through our pledges and meeting different organisations such as Rise Northeast and the communications team within the council. Last week, I attended the Youth Action Unlocked event in Newcastle and was a part of the panel of other young people answering questions from youth groups across the region. The goal of the day was for different youth groups to create a social action project that would benefit other young people in the area, and it was great to hear from the group in the North Tyneside from Howden Club and hearing what they are planning to do with the funding. Over the weekend, I attended the UK Youth Parliament Annual Conference in Maggie's absence. The conference was held at the University of Sussex and it was a wonderful event discussing the recommendations of various topics, which we'll be taking into the annual sitting in November. There were over 100 MYPs in attendance from all over the UK, and it was amazing to see making so many new connections, and understanding the different issues in other areas in the UK. Our youth council group have been continuing to work on their democracy project, which hopefully can support votes at 16 following the change in the last few weeks. The group are keen to focus on misinformation and how this can influence others when it comes to voting. And I have also recently took part in completing a budget activity with the engagement team, also looking at how different services in the council can support you at different stages of your life. This is with the aim to feed into the state of area in September. Our regional Children and Care Council held their Dear Corporate Parent Conference last week with over 200 attendees, including director, senior leader, and chief executives from the Children's Service across the Northeast. All delegates completed 4 workshops across the day around housing, mental health, language, and stigma. It was lovely to see so many people at the event, and the youth homelessness advisor from Ministry of Housing, Communities and Local Government, who updated young people around the progressions pending insurance, ensuring no young people who is in care will ever become homeless. As a part of our Send Youth Forum, work has been completed in hearing the views of our Send young people. Officers visited 13 schools and engaged with over 80 young people and to hear their voices. The data has been used to shape the Send an Alternative provisional strategy with North Tyneside Council and the Parent Care Forum. Send Youth Forum also shared their views around the neurodiversity charter relating to the design, the idea of the charter, and being in a place the language is used. Over 80 young people who took part in this work and having their voices heard. Thank you.
Any comments or questions for Young Mayor? Councillor Early?
I was at the Regional Children and Care Council event, and it was a great event, as you say. It was really interesting to hear the first-hand the challenges that young people face in getting appropriate housing and remaining in housing, and how they have to manage their budgets, tight budgets, and living expenses, etc. So it was a really useful conference. And as ever, we all had to make promises as to what we were going to do to improve the situation before we left. And I know from last year that we will be held to those promises.
Thank you very much for your work again this month. I know it's been a very busy month, and I know Karen certainly asked me to pass on her thanks to you and Maggie for meeting up with her to discuss your priorities, and she thinks it's a fantastic set of priorities that you've got for the year ahead, so wish best of luck. The next item is the 25-26 Performance and Financial Management Report, which I will take us through. I'm pleased to introduce the initial Performance Management Report for the year 25-26. The report provides first an indication of performance during 25-26, as well as reflected on some of our successes during 24-25 to deliver the Our North Tyneside Plan 21-25, contained within Appendix 5 and 6. We made significant progress to deliver our ambition for North Tyneside across all areas of the borough, primarily using external funding to fund this. The Tyne Economic Corridor has been designated as an investment zone, providing incentives to women investors and businesses looking to grow in the area. Funding has been secured to support new businesses and provide consultancy support through the Business Factory. And the refreshed ambition for education 24-25 builds on the strong performance of our schools while taking into account the social and economic challenges the pandemic created. Good progress has been made delivering against our education and SEND initiatives. The authority continues to improve the working conditions of care workers through increased fees, support the national living wage, the CPI index, and changes in national insurance contributions. Working with North Tyneside Careers Partnership, the authority published a commitment to carers 24-29 with a range of improvements to support carers in the role. Just shy of 2,500 affordable homes have been delivered so far, and the first 300 homes on the emerging strategic housing site are under construction. An additional $2 million investment is made in the highways network this year, which is currently in a good state. The authority continues to support people impacted by the cost of living crisis through the Holidays Activity and Food Programme, the Household Support Fund, and the Poverty Intervention Fund. Support has been provided to over 15,000 low-income households to access council tax support, and overall, North Tyneside is one of the safest places in the country. However, additional support has been secured to support and tackle crime and antisocial behaviour in our hotspot areas. The Net Zero Action Plan is delivering over 150 actions to decarbonise the authority's operation and the borough as a whole. The new council plan, which is currently being consulted on, will build on the success of our last plan, but recognises there will be new challenges, changes and opportunities. Overall, the authority performance is strong. However, as previously discussed at Cabinet, the authority, like many others across the country, continues to experience significant challenges in some areas of delivery due to increased demand and complexity, which have impacted on the overall financial forecast for the year. These pressures are being addressed through the medium-term financial plan workstream, and there's further details on this contained in Annex 1 to the report. As we go on to the financial bit of the report now, this is the first part of the financial report for the year 25-26. It shows how we performed against the budget and forms the important first indication of the pressures in 25-26. Last financial year was challenging in many ways, and there continues to be significant pressures going into the next financial year and into the medium term. The authority has continued to see pressure areas across adult social and children's social care. Taking the general fund revenue position first, shown in Table 1 of this report, there's a forecast net pressure of the year of £9.6.92 million. Many of the pressures in the current year are consistent with those faced in recent years and importantly form part of our existing medium-term financial projects. In terms of schools, the project year and end deficit position is £14.9 million. As our schools continue to face similar challenges to the authority, we continue to work with our schools to help try and address the deficit position. It's good to note that there were no material issues with respect to the housing revenue account with regards to its normal activity, and the HRA position projected outturn of a minor overspend of £0.016 million. Moving to the investment plan, £5.4 million has been spent so far in the borough this financial year, and in April and May, a monitoring reprogram of £9.4 million has been identified for this year, and the investment plan related to changes anticipated for delivery in future financial years. Challenge sessions are underway with senior officers to further review our delivery plans. Cabinet is asked to approve the recommendations as set out in section 1.2 of the report. Any questions or comments on that report? Councillor Graham?
Thank you, Chair. We all know we have very significant financial challenges, but despite that, we still have ambition within this authority. and it's good to see what we can do, not what we can't do. And I wish to thank all of our teams who work so tirelessly across the authority to make things happen and find money, other people's money usually, so we can actually do things for the people in our borough. It's only through this tireless work that we're managing to keep things going. It will be challenging, and it is challenging, but we have a fantastic team behind us, and we will go forward for this borough in the best way that we can with the resources that we have available. And thanks for the report. I'd like to note it. Thank you.
Absolutely. Councillor Graham, anyone else? Roger?
Just one. I think some of the figures are recorded as percentages, and say, for example, in children's services area, it's got 2.8% neat, and I just wondered if that's 2.8% of the whole pupil population in the borough. Is that right?
Off the top of my head, I don't know, Roger, but I will get you an answer.
Sorry.
Not a problem. But I will get you an answer. But I presume it will be 2.8% of those eligible to be included in the stat, but don't know. I'm sure as well. Get it. It is. Oh, it definitely is, according to John. So yeah. Yeah, Councillor Graham, I think you're absolutely right. You know, despite financial challenges that we've had sustained over a 15-year period now, we still continue to be an ambitious council. We still want to invest in the things that we know make our borough an attractive place to live and work. We still want to bring business to the borough. We still want our residents to have a better quality of life, and we will always continue to invest in them as long as we run this council. So can I move recommendations as set out in 1.2 in the report? The next item is item 6, tree management policy and tree planting strategy. Councillor Graham.
Thank you, Chair. It gives me great pleasure to present this report to you that details the authority's updated tree management policy and tree planting strategy. Trees are an important part of the North Tyneside landscape, but are also a sensitive and often emotive asset to manage. The estimated overall tree canopy cover in North Tyneside is 705 hectares, and half of all trees in the borough are on authority-owned land, which equates to over 85,000. Trees make a valuable contribution to both wildlife conservation and the protection and development of a variety of habitats. They're a key part of our wonderful green flag parks and open spaces and help to make North Tyneside a great place to live, to work and to visit. Importantly, they soak up carbon dioxide from the atmosphere and play a crucial role in the global challenge of mitigating against the impacts of climate change and the climate emergency that we face. In order to protect and manage our existing tree stock, it is important to have an up-to-date management policy. Our tree management policy was first introduced in 2009 and has been regularly reviewed over time. This most recent review ensures that our policy remains effective, relevant, and aligns with the current legislation and best industry practice. The updated policy explains how the authority will operate, is more user-friendly, and provides context to our decision-making in relation to trees. Additionally, to support our ambitions for tree planting and the ongoing success of the North East Community Forest, we have updated the authority's tree planting strategy. Protecting existing trees and increasing tree planting, woodland and canopy cover is a key part of the authority's carbon net zero action plan. I'm therefore pleased to present this report tonight and recommend the Cabinet agree to option 1 as included in section 1.6 of the report. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Graham. Any questions or comments for Councillor Graham? No? Can we agree to the recommendations as set out in the report then, please? Excellent. The next item is item 7, North Tyneside local plan consultation and statement of community involvement. It's mine. This report seeks approval for publication of the consensual document as part of the preparation for a new local plan for North Tyneside and seeks the approval to update the authority's position for consultation on planning matters. The local plan consultation document is presented as Appendix 1 It's proposed that this is published to enable the first stage of consultation following Cabinet's agreement in February that work should start on a new local plan. Preparation of the new plan will involve multiple stages of consultation that are expected to take around 3 years. The early consultation is focused on the strategic vision and strategy of the emerging plan and presents the key plan issues proposed response for discussion with residents and consultees. While there are no specific sites or the proposals at this stage, it is important to note that such information includes important information such as the amount of new homes that we think we will need over the plan period to 2042. It also outlines our vision for sustainable growth in the borough that tackles inequalities, the climate emergency, and prioritises protection of green spaces and wildlife habitats. Consultation of the document is planned for longer than the usual 8 weeks period, and information about the consultation will be available through a range of online and printed sources. Officers will be holding a number of in-person and online events for residents to find out more. The feedback that we received will help the authority understand residents and other consultees' views on the key issues. This will help inform preparation of the next stage of the local plan consultation that is due to be considered later this year. Information about future decision making, including proposed delegations and progress with the budget and policy framework, are included at Appendix 3. The statement of community involvement is presented at Appendix 2, and this sets out how the authority consults on planning issues and will guide consultation on a new local plan. This update ensures the authority complies with statutory duty to update the statement every 5 years. I recommend that Cabinet agrees to the proposed decision set out in section 1.2 of the report. Any questions or comments on this one? Councillor Early?
Yeah, I do think it's important that we consult as widely as possible. And I know we're sometimes criticised for our consultation. Allegations are made. We consult with select groups, but I was at Family Fun Day in Springfield Park in Forest Hall on Friday, and there were officers there carrying out this engagement exercise, speaking to the parents, families that were there. So I think this engagement is very wide, and I trust it will be very, very successful as well.
Any more comments or questions? I think anyone that remembers the last local plan will remember the level of engagement we went into the last time before we did this. There is even more engagement this time, so I really think everybody in the borough that wants to comment on the future local plan will have the opportunity to do so, and I think that's a key thing. We will ensure they get that. And, you know, these are areas that do throw up feelings in people, and people will have their right to tell us what they want to see. And we will always take the residents' views into account. We did the last time, and we will this time. With that in mind, can I recommend that Cabinet agrees with the proposed decision set out in section 1.2 of the report? The next item is item 8, planning obligation monitoring fees, which is me again, I'm afraid. This report seeks agreement to the introduction of the Section 106 planning obligation and biodiversity net gain monitoring fees from the 1st of September 2025. The fee is proposed to cover the cost of monitoring compliance with planning obligations, which are placed on some new developments to secure the contributions toward infrastructure required to mitigate the impacts of the new development. This now includes the meeting the statutory requirement to achieve 10% biodiversity net gain, which has to be monitored over a 30-year period. Legislation allows a monitoring fee to be imposed, and in setting the fee, consideration has been given to staff costs and time requirements, a review of legal agreements over the last 10 years, and a review of fees set by other local planning authorities. We believe fees reflect inflation and overhead costs. The recommended approach set out to set a fee per obligation for Section 106 agreements based on the scale development. Biodiversity net gain, the fee will be based on the size of the site and the technical complexity of the mitigation proposals. Recommended fees are set out in the report, and therefore recommend Cabinet agrees to the trade proposals set out in section 1.2 of the report. Any questions or comments on this one? Councillor Graham?
I really welcome this report. It's really important that we have the resources to monitor biodiversity net gain and can see what what developers have done and see what's going forward over these large sites. And it's really important that we have people to do it, because planning is quite tight, as you know, and it's really good that we have resources to implement this and take this forward. And I welcome these fees. Thank you.
Absolutely, Councillor Graham. Any more questions or comments? No. Can I recommend we agree with the decision I set out in section 1.2 of the report, please?
Agreed.
And that brings us to item 9, which is to move the exclusion resolution. Can we agree to the exclusion resolution, please? So